Hello my dear students. So today I will teach the third topic of the life process chapter, that is transportation. So in the previous section we have studied about the nutrition and the respiration. In the nutrition topic, the digested food material is transported with the help of the blood, and in the respiration the oxygen and carbon dioxide gases that also transported with the help of the blood only. So here today I will teach transportation in human being, that is you all know through the blood only. Now what is that exactly blood? In the 9th class you have studied about the blood is a fluid connected tissue. Fine. Now what are the components of the blood? Components are the plasma, RBC, WBC and platelets. RBC and WBC you all know, that is the red blood cells and white blood cells. So plasma, RBC, WBC and platelets are the main components of the blood. Now one by one we will go through each and every component. First one is the plasma. What this plasma basically is. So plasma is a fluid part of the blood, is called plasma. Now here the RBC, WBC and platelets are immersed in this. So main liquid part is the plasma, in that RBC, WBC and platelets are present. Now what is the function of the plasma? What is the main function? Plasma transport food, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in the dissolved form. So this is a main function of the plasma. Now we will go to the RBC, WBC and platelets. What are they? So here you can see I have written the differentiating point between the RBC and WBC. Now RBC, that is red blood cells, they are circular, disc shaped and biconcave. Fine. And they are, means WBC, they are irregular in shape but little bit larger than the RBC. Second one, RBC, that is of red color because of the pigment hemoglobin, and WBC, that is of white color. Third one, that is the functions of both. So RBC, they carry oxygen from the lungs to the tissues and carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs. So that is the main function of RBC. Now WBC, the function is mainly they protect us from the disease, and that is why they are also called as soldiers of the body, that is WBC. Now the lifespan, how much the life period, that is the lifespan is 120 days of RBC. But the WBC, the lifespan is few months to year. Now what is the main difference? Why that is only 120 days and here few months to year? Because here 20 days, 120 days for the RBC, because they don't have nucleus. So they die very soon. Now here the lifespan few months to year because they have nucleus, that is WBC. So this is the main difference between the RBC and WBC. But for the 10th class, that is not much important, but at least you should know that what exactly the main difference this one. Fine. Now platelets, what are they? I think you have heard every time that whenever we got injured or something, blood is coming out, oozes out from the injury part. So that clots slowly and stop the blood flow from the injury. So that clotting of the blood is done by the platelets. Now platelets, from where they form? They form from the bone marrow, okay, and they don't have the nuclei. So only three important things about the platelets. First, the formation takes place from the bone marrow. They don't have nuclei and they help in the blood clotting. So this is all the functions and the characteristics of components of the blood. Components are plasma, RBC, WBC and platelets. Clear? So this is the first introductory part of the blood. Now, what are the functions of the blood? What the main functions? Till now, many times I have again and again I am repeating the things that blood, the function is, here you can see, carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen from where? Oxygen that takes from the lungs to the tissues and carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs. They also carry digested food. You remember when I explained the nutrition topic, from the small intestine villi are present and they are connected with the blood capillaries, and whatever the digested food material is passed through the villi to the blood capillaries. So here the blood carries the digested food material also. Third one, they also carries the hormones from the glands, endocrine glands. Fine. And the blood regulate the body temperature. This is the very important function of the blood. And the last one, they also, that is blood also carry the waste product, that is a urea from liver to kidney and then from to the excretory organ. Then so here that they carry the waste urea from liver to kidney. So these are the functions of the blood. So till now what we have studied, that is first one, blood is the connective tissue, the components of the blood, then each component, the separate function and the characteristic, then the functions of the blood. Now blood circulatory system. If we want to go in a detail of blood circulatory system, we should know that it consists of three types of blood vessels. Now what are those blood vessels? That is arteries, veins and capillaries. Without these three, blood circulatory system will not work. Now the first one, arteries and veins. First I will tell the differentiating point between here. Now arteries, they carry the oxygenated blood, fine, and veins carry the deoxygenated blood. Now arteries carry blood from the heart to the body organs and veins carry blood from body organs to the heart. They have thick walls, means arteries have thick walls and veins have thin walls as compared to the arteries one. Fine. Now blood flow with force in the case of arteries. In the case of veins, blood flow without any force. That is why they have thin walls. But the arteries, the blood flow with a very high force. That's why they have thick walls. In the case of arteries, walls are not present. Now what are these walls? Walls are their main function of walls are that they allow the flow of blood in one direction. They never allow blood to go back in reverse direction. So one direction flow, that is controlled by the wall. So in the case of arteries, no walls are present, but in the case of veins, walls are present. Now, as I said, thick wall and thin wall, here blood flow with the force in the arteries. In the veins, blood flow without any force. Now, what is the main reason actually with force and without force? Now, here I have drawn one structure. This is a TS of artery and this is TS of veins. Here you can see, and I have labeled here lumen. Now, this one is outer and inner membrane and in the center you can see a small circle. Here, this opening, that lumen is very narrow. So lumen is narrow in the case of arteries. That's why the blood flow with the force and that's why they have the thick walls. In the case of veins, you can see a broader lumen. They have broader area. So here the blood flow without any force and then they have the thin walls. So this is, here lumen is very narrow. Here lumen is very broad. So arteries, this one. So once again, can we recall this one? Blood carry, that is in the case of artery, they carry blood from the heart to the body organ. In the case of veins, they carry blood from the body organs to the heart. Fine. Second, they carry oxygenated blood. In the veins, they carry deoxygenated blood. Now, arteries, they have thick walls. Veins, they have thin walls. Blood flow with force in arteries. Here, blood flow without any force in the case of veins. And arteries, they don't have walls. But in the case of veins, they have walls. So this is the basic difference between the arteries and veins. Now what are the capillaries? Capillaries, they are very thin walled and extremely narrow, which connect the arteries to veins. So that is the main characteristic structure and the function of the capillaries. Thin walled, narrow, and which connect the arteries and the veins. That is called the capillaries. So this is all about the blood circulatory system, which consists of three types of blood vessels. So we have already discussed the component, then the type of blood vessels that will be involved in the heart circulatory system or the human heart circulatory system. Now, this I have drawn the simplest structure of human heart. In your textbook, that is NCERT textbook, if you will see, it's better you open that. Just pause this video here and you can open your textbook. Open that particular page where they have drawn the diagram of the section of human heart. There you can see that this one is simplest, and here this is pulmonary artery and aorta is there. I will explain each and every part. There they have shown like this in the textbook. So if you will go through all the labelings, take your own time, just go through all the labelings. You can, when you will pause this video at that time. So go through all the labelings and then again on the video, and then you will come to know what I am explaining here. Because, and one more thing, in the board exam, if they ask, draw neat section of human heart, neat labeled section of human heart, you can draw this easy diagram, no problem at all. But if they give that diagram in the question paper and then they ask, label such and such part, then you have to label those parts. So that's very important. You should be familiar with that diagram also. Okay. Now, human heart. Now here, this human heart is 4-chambered heart. And the size of that is of what? Our fist. Fine. Now 4-chambered heart. That is the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Clear? Now here in this diagram you can see I have written the short form RA, PA, PB, LA, LV and RV. Here I have written. Please, in the board exam, don't write the short form. You have to write the full. So here the 4-chambered heart. So what are the 4 chambers in the human heart? That is right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Clear? And that is here the section you can see, the division part, that is called the septum. Fine. Here the valves are present, here the valves are present. Fine. This is one opening that is called vena cava. First I will tell the labelings, then I will explain the whole circulatory system. Now this one I have written PA, that is a pulmonary artery. The artery which takes the blood to the lungs. Now here this one is the pulmonary vein. This one means the vein which carry the blood from the lungs to back to the heart, to the left atrium. Right? And this one is called aorta. The function of aorta, it will take the blood to all body parts. Clear? Now, and this function of the heart means the pumping action of the heart or the blood flow that takes place with the help of relaxation and contraction. So when any part relax means it will collect the blood. When it contract, it will pump out the blood. Fine. Suppose I will give the example. If right atrium will relax means it will collect the blood. Blood will enter into that. If it will contract, that will pump the blood into the right ventricle. Fine. Okay. Now, this human heart, 4-chambered heart, okay, and this circulation in the human heart is also called as double circulation. That I will tell you why. Now, here the double circulation, because in the case of human being, this heart, blood enters twice in the heart during the one cycle. That is called double circulation. Twice that enters into the heart. Okay. Now, and this whole circulatory system or the whole circulatory function is carried out in 2 steps. That is the pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Fine. So, first one by one we will go. Pulmonary circulation. That starts from the right atrium. Now, deoxygenated blood from the lower and upper vena cava, it will enter into the heart, into the right atrium. That is deoxygenated blood. Then from the right atrium, it will go into the right ventricle. Fine. Now from the right ventricle, it pumped out into the pulmonary artery, and through the pulmonary artery it will enter into the lungs. I will write here, lungs. Right. So from pulmonary artery it will enter into lungs. See, now one question here you can ask. What? Ma'am, arteries carry oxygenated blood, you said. But here I am telling you that pulmonary artery carry deoxygenated blood. That is the exception. Usually arteries carry oxygenated blood, but pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood. Fine? Okay, now come back to the circulatory system. Now here from the right ventricle, it enters into the lungs through pulmonary artery. When it enters into the lungs, there the purification of the blood takes place. Fine? And then deoxygenated blood will changes into the oxygenated blood, and again it will enter into the heart through pulmonary vein. Fine? Through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium. Now again you can ask one question. Ma'am, veins carry deoxygenated blood, but here the pulmonary veins carry oxygenated. So this is also the exception. So pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, they are the exception other than this one function. So here pulmonary vein will carry oxygenated blood from the lungs, and it enters into the heart into the left atrium. Now from the left atrium it will goes to the left ventricle. Then from left ventricle it pumped out, pushed out through the aorta to all body parts. Fine? With a very high force. Now here you can see this is the whole circulatory system I explained. Fine? Now as I said, whole human heart blood circulatory system that completes in two steps: pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So pulmonary circulation starts from right atrium. Means now how you will write? See, in the exam you can write the whole circulatory what I explained in one paragraph by underlining the important words, or else in two steps. This is pulmonary and systemic. So in pulmonary circulation you will write the blood, once again, the blood enters into the heart, into the right atrium through the vena cava, upper and lower vena cava, that is the deoxygenated blood, and that will enter into the right ventricle. Through the pulmonary artery it enters into the lungs, and then after the purification that become oxygenated, and it will enter into the left atrium by the pulmonary vein. Only this much. That comes under pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary, lungs. So from entering up to the left atrium, right atrium to left atrium, this comes under pulmonary circulation. Now next is the systemic circulation. Fine. Now from the left atrium, that is oxygenated blood, will enter into the left ventricle and then through the aorta to all body parts. Now from the body parts, that oxygenated blood will turn into deoxygenated, and that will again come back to the heart through vena cava. So when it enters into this one, right atrium, that comes under systemic circulation. Fine? I know a little bit complicated, isn't it? No problem, we will make it easy. Once again, see, pulmonary circulation from right atrium, right ventricle, lungs through PA, pulmonary artery, enter to left atrium through pulmonary vein. Stop. This is pulmonary circulation. Fine. Now systemic. From the left atrium to left ventricle, through aorta to body parts, then become deoxygenated, isn't it? And that again back to heart, right atrium through vena cava. This comes down systemic circulation. Fine. So you can write in both the ways in the board exam, need not to worry. That is with the help of these two steps, or else in one paragraph you can write the whole circulatory system. And then what you have to do, you have to underline the important words. What are the important words? Vena cava, right atrium, right ventricle, pulmonary artery, lungs, pulmonary veins, left atrium, left ventricle, aorta. These are the important words. In one paragraph also you can write by underlining all those things. So this is all about. And one more thing. Here the atrium, they are thin walled. Ventricle, they are thick walled. Why? See, you can see here atriums, both the atriums, they are receiving the blood. So they don't need a thick wall because not much force they have to bear. But in the case of ventricle, they are thick wall because they have to push the blood. Here, right ventricle push the blood to lungs. Here, left ventricle push the blood to body parts through aorta. So they have thick walls. And atrium, they have thin walls. Clear? So this is all about the forward chambered heart of human being. Fine. Now, I will discuss here a few more examples. So before that, see, you can see in the case of human being, this four-chambered heart. Here, totally the deoxygenated blood. This side, left side is oxygenated blood. Why? So in mammals, usually they ask this question that why mammals have four-chambered heart? Or in the case of mammals and birds, why the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is separated? What is the reason? I will tell you the reason. Reason is here by separating the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, the efficiency to get the energy will be increased. And mammals and birds, they need a large amount of energy. Why? To maintain their body temperature. That is the extra energy they need. And that energy they take from here, that is oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is separated in the case of the mammals and the birds. Fine. So that's why, because energy requirement is high to maintain the body temperature. So that is why, and that's why the mammals have the four-chambered heart also. Now, we will discuss here a few more examples. That is in the case of amphibians and reptiles. They have three-chambered heart. So here, so they divide three-chambered heart. Here actually what happened, we can say not completely the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is separated. There little bit mixing is there because they are not using that energy to maintain their body temperature. See, they don't use energy to maintain their body temperature. In these cases, means the amphibians and reptile, they depend upon the temperature of the environment. Fine, they no need to change their or maintain their own temperature. In the case of fishes, two-chambered heart. Fine. So these are few examples. Why I am discussing here few examples? Because in NCERT also they have given sometime for 1 marks. They ask question. How many chambered heart is present in the case of amphibians? What is the reason? How many the fishes they have heart? How many chambered heart? That is two-chambered heart. Three-chambered in the case of amphibians and reptiles. And for the mammals and birds, they have four-chambered because energy requirement is high. Why? Because they have to maintain their body temperature. Fine. So I think up to here, are you clear? I think आप लोगों को यहाँ तक सब चीजें समझ में आई होंगी. What are the main components? Okay, what is the function of the components? What are the characteristics of those components? Function of the blood. Now the blood circulatory system, that is the main blood vessels, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Few characteristics of, because in the board exam they ask the differentiate between the arteries and the veins. At that time you have to explain. If they ask for 2 marks, write 4 points. If they ask for 3 marks, write 6 points. I have given here 5 points and 1 point is a diagram here. Okay. And exception. What exception? Pulmonary artery, they carry deoxygenated blood. But the normal arteries, they carry oxygenated blood. Another exception. Pulmonary vein carry oxygenated blood. But here the veins carry deoxygenated blood. Right? So this is all about the circulatory system. In the human being, that is, for 1 mark sometimes they ask, what is double circulation? Now what you will write? Double circulation means in one cycle, blood enters twice in the heart. You can see, one time here, second time here. That's why it is called double circulation. Okay. Now, this is all about the human heart, four-chambered heart, the functions of that one, atria, ventricle, why they have the thick, why they have the thin walls. Even we have discussed the examples, that is the different, that is amphibian, reptiles and the fishes example. Now, the only one thing is left, the last, that is, what is lymph? We have not discussed anywhere, isn't it? But lymph also play a very important role. Now what is that? Just see. Lymph, and that is also called as tissue fluid. Fine. So that is very much similar to the blood plasma. What? Lymph. Plasma already we have discussed here. Now, it contains very less protein, okay, and they are colorless because they don't contain any pigment. Now, mainly it contains the lymphocytes. What is this word, lymphocytes? Actually, lymphocytes helps to develop our immunity. Fine, so that is the main function. So, lymphocytes are present in the lymph and it carries the digested and absorbed fat from the intestine. Intestine, nutrition topic. After the digestion, from the villi when the absorption takes place, the protein and the carbohydrates, that after digestion enters into the blood, but the fat digestion after the completion, that will enters into the lymph. So here it carries the lymphatic system. It carries the digested and absorbed fat from the intestine. So this is a small information about the lymph. So this much is enough for the 10th class. Fine. Because if you go into detail of any topic, there are many things to go through all. Fine. So here, once again quickly, can I recall that one? So this is all about the transportation in human being. So first we have discussed the what is blood, then the components of the blood, then functions of blood, then the blood circulatory system consists of the blood vessels, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Then the human heart function, how that blood flow takes place in the human heart. And one more thing, in the board exam when they ask to draw the diagram, okay, very important thing, if you will draw the diagram and you are not showing the arrows, the direction of the blood flow, you will not get any marks. Because without the directions, without the arrows, the diagram is waste, useless. So if you want to draw the diagram, label diagram, then you have to show the direction of the blood flow, arrows from where the blood is entering, from where the blood comes out from the heart. Fine. Then we have discussed why the mammals, they have 4 chambers, what are the conditions in the case of amphibians, reptiles and the fishes. And then the lymph. For the lymph, actually they ask only for 1 mark or 2 marks. If they ask in the 5 marks, then they are the bits A, B, C. In this way they ask. Fine. Sometimes they ask, they have given the, just draw a neat label diagram of the heart and label number 1, A, the part which receive oxygenated blood. So which part? Left atrium. Fine. Label the part which gives the blood or which pumped out the blood into the lungs. So which part? That is right ventricle through pulmonary artery. Fine. And through which part the blood pumped into the whole body organs, that is through aorta. So anyway they can ask. You should be very much clear about each and every part. So I think I have covered all the topics related to the transportation in human being. So next, later on I will explain transportation in the plants. Okay. So once again that same request. So when I am explaining all these, you can pause, you can again play that video. Meanwhile, you can go through the textbook, whatever they have given. You can correlate the things and easily you can understand what I have explained here with the help of the textbook, even with the help of this video. Okay? Thank you.